Hi, Jake.
Hi,
How are you?
good.
Good.
Do you want to say it?
You
Need-
you do the honors today. You do the
Needless.
honors.
You do it
Needless
better
to
than I do, but okay. Needless to say, we have a lot to talk about, right?
you
Right.
did it. Wow. Impressive.
Yeah. We're gonna do like a music episode today.
I'm so excited.
Do you like music?
I like music. I can talk about music for a hot minute. Yeah.
I feel like every episode will dabble, but we don't like really just go right in for it.
Yeah, I'm super excited about this guest because I feel like music, no matter who you are, is part of your life. If
Yeah,
not, then stop listening to our podcast immediately.
right. I picked Bowie because I was trying to like look through my records to see which one he would most respect me for, and I
Oof.
didn't feel like I didn't feel
Oh,
some of mine he likes all kinds of music, but I thought I'd get the most props for the Ziggy Stardust.
yeah. Should I put up my Spice Girls poster?
I thought you would have, but
I know. That's a big, I messed up on that one.
yeah. Should we start?
So,
Should we start over? Start from the
yeah,
top.
let's start over so I can put up my Posh Spice.
Posh. Who was
Posh.
your face before we get into it with him? Who was your favorite Spice Girl?
So it was definitely Posh Spice for
Okay,
sure. Oh
I
yeah.
feel like that's the only proper answer.
Yeah, especially because I just watched this
Beckham.
could be a whole other oh,
I haven't watched it yet, but I'll watch it before
oh,
next episode and we can talk about
I'm
it.
not going to even talk about it then because it deserves its own thing.
Okay.
But let's just say all time, forever time, I'm back on. I'm back on the David Beckham train as if it was back then now. And I'm
Okay.
back on the Posh Spice train as if I was again in my teenage years.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So good. It's
I
so
got
good.
mad in Seattle because when he was playing for the LA Galaxy,
Yeah.
I went um,
Really?
and I watched him, and it was like still new Seattle having
Yeah.
a soccer team, and they booed him every time he got the ball because they just hate Beckham, and it made me
Yeah.
so mad because I was like, this person's legitimizing American soccer, and you're just
Yeah.
booing it because why? Like you don't like that he's
You,
incredibly good
I
at
can't, I have so much to say after watching it. You
it's
might
just
be in the movie. You might be
I'm
in the documentary.
so mad at that. So
Yeah.
I'll watch it and then let's talk about it next week.
You are gonna love it. You're gonna love
Okay.
it.
And then I
It's so
got
good.
anytime I send Chelsea something and she puts it on her musings on her newsletter,
Yeah.
I get excited. And
Yeah.
I sent her that video of when she's talking about growing up poor and he peeks into the room and he's like, tell the truth.
Yes.
I
What
sent
did
that to
you
her.
drive to school?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I sent it to her and then I got excited on Monday morning when I saw her email that she
The
put
musing.
in her musings.
We'll
So
put a link again to Poor Two Musings because I love it.
yeah.
So good.
I also learned because I don't do blogs really that we were like, no, I see your blog because I look at your musings, your email on Mondays. And
Yeah,
she's like,
yeah.
that's not my blog though. Like I post stuff every day on my blog.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I see it on Instagram. And she's like, no, but I write things on my blog about what I'm posting. So then I learned that you actually have to go to her website. And then I'm realizing every day
Yeah.
she's like reading. So
You're like, babe, why are you on your phone 24/7? And she's like, I'm running a high end blog over here.
yeah. And
And
then
you
she's
think it's just
like,
Instagram.
yeah. And then she's like, babe, why are you on your phone 24/7? And I'm like, I'm sending important, funny memes to the same three
To the
people all
same
day.
three people all day.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, I get that. I get that. You know that like funny meme about like the two couples in bed and they're
Yeah.
just in bed but on their phones and it's like, did you get those three funny videos I sent you on Instagram last? It's like they're
I
both
like
in bed
that.
together.
Yeah.
That's so accurate.
Yeah, I do that to Chelsea. I know when she sees like a video I send because she'll laugh. And then the other day, I thought one was really funny and she didn't laugh, but then she watched it again and started laughing. And it was like watching her like
Escalate
find
the
it more and
laughter.
more funny. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're behind her just like this, just like
Yeah.
waiting for it to really hit her.
And then I also like the memes where it's like, why didn't you laugh at that video I sent? And it's like the other guy's like, you sent me 28 videos. I laughed at all but one. And they're like, yeah, but why do you think it was funny?
I think that has to do too with like people that are funny or like people think that they have a good sense of humor. Like I
Yeah.
always wonder about that. Like do I actually have a good sense of humor, or if I were to like send every person that follows me what I thought was funny, would like half of them be like, please stop.
Oh no,
Please, I beg of you.
I curate. I know what Devin's gonna find funny, but then I
Yes.
know what like Luke and Jared are gonna find funny,
Yeah.
or just
It's all different. Uh-oh, you froze.
the. All right, am I good?
Yeah, you were still talking but glitchy. Now you're good. Now you're
I'm
good.
good. All right,
Yep.
let's hope. Sorry, Brian. It's a two-bit operation over
This
here.
is just so
Embarrassing.
embarrassing.
Super,
It's so
I
super,
know. I'm sorry.
super embarrassing.
I know.
turn
Time,
everything off.
time is money, guys.
All
This
right,
is
sorry.
two-bit operation. I'll go on mute again. Ignore me.
Actually, Ryan is
Not
going to
gonna
take
cut.
over our financial side because he knows that this is
He's
going to
gonna work
cost
the numbers.
us.
All right.
Let me get out my abacus. I'll back you guys up.
All right.
Oh my God.
He's gonna hate this part because we haven't done an intro yet. It's like we had Jeremy on and we just like threw him on.
Yeah,
And then
no, that's
it's
true.
like, oh, this is
You can
Jeremy.
just throw. Don't worry. Don't.
Oh gosh, you're gonna hate this.
I know you have
No,
bad
no, we
shoulders.
need this. We need this.
This is gonna
Intro,
set
intro,
the tone.
intro.
Boy.
It's gonna set the tone. You just gotta bear with me here, Ryan. All right. I wrote it down too, so I didn't miss anything. So our guest today,
Whoa.
our guest today, I met at the Met Museum 5 years ago already. We were on a tour. He was in town because for Governor's Ball, I think, because Churches was playing Governor's Ball, and he works with Churches. He's
The band,
the band, not Churches in general,
not the Baptists and the
not
Catholics,
the
but the
Baptists
actual
and the
band.
Catholics. He's from the Bay Area. He lives in LA. He's a big Oakland A's fan. He's been in bands and he's toured, but then he shifted gears. He stayed in the music business, working with different talent agencies like Paradigm. During COVID, him and four colleagues started TBA Agency, which represents artists like Churches, Courtney Barnett, Remy Wolf, Ethel Kane, Bombay Bicycle Club, and many more. Rolling Stone said that they offer a more holistic approach for its clients than large corporate agencies. Right then, he totally rolled his eyes. I bet. But more importantly, he's married to one of the coolest people in Christine and father to probably one of my favorite young people I've ever met. It's Brian Craven. How was that? Is that good?
You know more about me than I know about myself. That was amazing.
You can turn your camera on.
Oh, you told me not to. Now I can. I made Jake.
Oh yeah,
Jake.
you can turn your camera on. That was it. When I said Brian Craven, you were supposed
I
to like.
just wanted to make
here.
sure that it was completely.
Ryan, I do
Completely okay.
apologize. I have my own speech prepared. I do apologize for the afloat team humiliating.
I knew like
I feel like most of Jake's friends have prepared apologies on his behalf, like on their phone in their notes. Like,
Yeah.
oh, hold on, let me get out my note. Hold on.
yeah.
Yeah,
They're prepared.
it's in my favorites.
They're like, I prepared for this. So, anyways,
Yeah.
on behalf of Jake and his friends, I just want to apologize.
Yes. Nice to meet you, Ryan. It's so exciting to have you on our podcast.
Nice to meet you as well. My wife and I have watched the podcast.
Oh boy.
You have.
Yeah. I remember one very nice afternoon in Joshua Tree recently. I was working in Christine, I think listened to like an hour and a half or watched an hour and a half straight. It was like, what are you doing over there, man? What's happening? It was really good.
Well, once we record this, we'll be deleting all previous, and this will be the start of our,
This will be the first
yes, the first
Yeah,
one
So
ever.
if only Star Wars could have done that. Just delete.
one.
Those will be your prequels.
Yeah,
This will be
yes,
episode
Star
4.
Wars fans, please weigh in.
Mhm.
Yeah. Comment below. All right. How you doing?
I'm extremely tired.
Yes.
If you want to know the truth, we flew home from Mexico City last night.
Wow.
And even though it's only a 4.5-hour flight, and even though it's
Mm.
only a 2-hour time difference, I might as well have flown in from Sri Lanka. I am
Oh my
like
goodness.
that,
Oh
like
my
that tired.
God.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
great.
Real fast. Can you turn your audio up a hair?
Oh yes, I can.
Sorry.
Sorry, no, it's fine. I actually thought I tried to test before I got on, actually.
It's not bad. It's just a little
Yeah.
faint.
No, it was a little quiet. You're
Oh,
right.
there it is.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was
there
Loud
you
and
go.
clear now.
it was super quiet. Here, I'll do it even a bit more. You can really hear the painters outside now too.
Yeah.
There you go.
If everything goes really right. Right. Sorry.
That
Okay.
sounds very brutal though, but we do appreciate your
Yeah.
effort.
Thank you.
No, it was not bad. If that's the worst of it, I have nothing to complain about.
So you went to the Corona Festival this weekend.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
you saw, among others, your big ones were Pulp, Blur, and The Cure.
Correct. That was why I went. Yes, the company I work for, which you so eloquently introduced, had a number of artists playing, but we have artists playing at every festival, every festival that you and I send posters for back and forth.
Yeah.
Don't go to every single one, but for this one to have those 3 bands specifically, which if I were to make a list of my top 10 favorite bands ever, those would easily be in the top, on that list. So to see them all in one shot was pretty outrageous. It was just too much to pass up, way too much to pass up. And then throw in, and you're trying to bury the lead here, Jake. Of course, Noel Gallagher played as well. And while I am not a massive Noel Gallagher solo fan,
Me neither.
it was very good.
Yeah.
And the encore, he did an acoustic version of "Live Forever." Which was great. But then after that, they did a full band "Don't Look Back in Anger." And it was literally like all of a sudden
That's so cool.
the spot where we were, all of a sudden it was like it somehow turned into nothing but like old British guys, arms around each other, like swaying back and forth, like crying. It was what I imagine it would have been like in England in like 1946. When people would hear "God Save the Queen" in the pub, the sobbing. It was absolutely hilarious. It was so good.
That is so funny.
I'm always going to be more of a fan when Liam is singing, but if you go on
Right.
YouTube and you search Noel Gallagher "Live Forever" acoustic, the way he sings it, it's like top notch. It's amazing. So to see that live would be really
No, it was fantastic. I mean, I really like him. I'm just not fluent in the first half of his set, but it was great.
Yeah. I don't really listen to his band. It's kind of funny because he wrote every Oasis song,
Mhm.
and and they're just such a big band for me. But since I don't listen to him, I listen to Liam. Like Liam's music is more like kind of feels like it carried on that sound, and like his band is really good. It sounds more, and I just like his voice and I like his whole thing. Where Noel, I don't really love. He kind of bugs me a little bit.
Mhm.
I'm not really into his music, but he wrote like some of my favorite songs ever. So you have to like give him credit.
No, I get it. Yeah, I get it. And the adult the set felt very adult, if that makes sense. Like there's no, when you listen to old Oasis, you kind of want that snarl, and you kind of want that kind of like drunken arrogance, right?
Yep.
The band he had on stage, I mean, it could have just been like his 7 accountants playing.
Okay.
And they were great, but there was no grit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you like the grit, then
I like the grit.
you like the grit. You're a gritty guy.
Yeah. Okay.
Ryan, did you happen to watch that documentary on Netflix about that guy Robbie Williams? He was like a British.
Yeah,
I
yeah, sure.
never.
I know who you're talking about, but no, I'd never.
Okay.
Yeah, I
I
didn't watch
had
it.
no idea like who that like none of it until they
Hmm.
played like the one song that got big and now I can't even remember what it was.
Yeah.
But that documentary was so like oddly like sad watching him watch his life over the years and get older and now
Mhm.
still go play shows like as an older person in general. So it's like that same vibe of like someone who back in the day was just like so wild and that lifestyle. And then for him to watch himself, it's
Mhm.
actually a really good documentary. I really liked it a lot, but I was just curious if you had seen that yet, and you
I
probably would like to watch it.
Yeah, I'm sure that I will. I haven't watched it yet. I used to really struggle with that idea that you just talked about. That idea of
Yeah,
like how as a musician you age and how and why you keep going and what the perception is when
right.
you keep going. So I remember being in my 20s and even late teens and seeing these guys who are just so old still playing. And you're just like,
Hmm.
oh my gosh, man, just pack it
Call it
in.
quits.
Just call it quits. I can't believe you're 35 and you're still trying to play music. Just go away, you
Exactly,
know. But
exactly.
then it was interesting watching again, like the big three for me from this past weekend: Pulp,
Mhm.
Blur, and The Cure. I mean,
Yeah,
Robert Smith has got to be in his 70s. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know, but easy. And the dudes he had on stage even looked older.
Hmm.
Even Blur, if
Yeah,
you remember them from like the 90s, they all looked very trim and arrogant and they looked great. And they all just looked like bad.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
they just looked like old dudes. And then the same thing
Hmm.
with Pulp. I mean, they all looked like older people playing music. But it
Hmm.
was fascinating because my perception was still that of like a 19-year-old. Like they seemed like they were young and fresh and fantastic. And
Yeah,
it's funny how those things change. And I'm sure that even so, point being, the musician's perception must change too. Like I'm sure
yeah.
that Robbie Williams, when he's still playing, he's still looking out and is his in his mind, he's still seeing the same 14-year-old girls that he performed to when he was
Right,
young. You know what I mean?
right.
But he even had like, because he was in a boy band, so
Yeah.
he was kind of like the
Mhm.
British Justin Timberlake almost. That he even at least had a
Mhm.
career after, was it Take That or something like
Take
that?
that. Yeah.
So it's
Mhm.
like
Yeah,
he was like the star, I guess, of that group. But even
Yeah.
that,
yeah.
you get into your 30s. And I have a question: what your perception is, um, when you look at like albums, especially like later albums, the band isn't together anymore. It's like the guy
Hmm.
and or like Robert Smith and other people. Like, does it change how you perceive an album before you hear it? Because like I was listening to it, I don't like REM, but I was listening to
Hmm.
an interview with Michael Stipe last week, and then I realized it's just the four of them. It didn't go through like all these iterations of like Michael Stipe and then three just studio musicians or something.
Yeah.
It was like Peter Buck or
Hmm.
uh I forget the other two, but like
He
it
froze,
was the
Brian.
four of them, or
He
U2 is
froze.
just the four of them. They're not like switching out people all the time and then it's just Bono or something. Like, do you perceive those bands differently than like lead singer and then studio guys?
I suppose I do, but that just comes down to what your expectations are. You know what I mean? Like if you hear, let's just keep going back to Oasis. If you heard the self-titled Oasis, or the first Oasis record, and you knew that it was just Liam and a bunch of bros, you would still think it was fantastic. Whereas then maybe you get later down the line and it's just a Liam solo record, and yes, you still love it, but it changes your perception a little bit, right? I'm sure that I
Yeah.
think that it does. If you fall in love with a band, you're falling in love with that band, right? I remember when Smashing
Mhm.
Pumpkins, when that lineup started changing, I started losing interest. And then
Mhm.
they get 3-4 slammed together again. All of a sudden, I'm buying tickets to go see them live because I'm so excited. So I'm sure, yeah, it has to change. It changes us. What you don't want to mess with your memories
Yeah.
right? You don't want to mess with your experiences. I have a memory of this thing. I love this thing. I don't
Yeah.
want it to change. So yeah, I think it probably does. Although if you ask me right now to give an example of something like that, I don't know if I could, but I think it would have to. I'm sure that it would.
I think if definitely one that pops into my mind, just as an example, that you saying that would be like No Doubt. Like when I started listening to No Doubt, I definitely was like, whoa, this is like, this girl is like wild and she's like the, you know, the face of this band. And like the guys were in the background. So you were kind of like, this is like a cool girl. Like she like set that like level of like that's the cool girl, you know what I mean? Like she's wearing like baggy pants and you've got these other girls like Britney Spears or like people in the media that were setting this like, you know, thing for girls, like this was what looked good and like then you got this girl like Gwen Stefani. Then when she broke away from No Doubt, it was I mean, I remember me and my sister, we definitely were like, no, this is devastating.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
This
You're not
can't
gonna be part
happen.
of yeah, this is not, you're not doing this. We're like sending her like actual letters, like, well, the internet's like logging in. It's like, wee, and I'm waiting to like email Gwen Stefani and be like, this is a big mistake. You need to go back. And then she comes out with Bananas. And I just was like, this is why we told you not to do this.
Well, that's
Which-
almost like the other thing, like how big of a role the band played and the success, like, because that band is actually like really good. Like No Doubt
Yeah,
band they're all
Sick.
really good musicians
right.
and their sound is really good. So she played into that so well. But then it's also like that shift of going from like, she grew up in like punk ska scene
Right.
and then they got so big. It's like, it's almost like inevitable. You're going to become a pop star when you look like her and sing like
Yeah,
her.
that's probably true too.
And
It's inevitable.
I'm sure she got your handwritten letter, and I'm sure she read it, and I'm sure then she sat back down on her couch, stuffed with $100 bills, and was like, "Well, I will
She
take
like,
this into consideration."
Yeah, time
patted
to
her
get the
tears.
band back together.
Mhm.
Yeah, she stared out the window with a glass of wine and rethought her whole
Right.
her life decision.
Thank God she married Blake Shelton to like get her in her good, you know, the good graces back again.
Yeah,
So thank goodness for that.
that's all.
Did you ever hear Dream Car? Have you heard that band?
Mm-mm.
I don't think so.
It's the three guys from No Doubt, but Davey from AFI. But
Oh yeah.
Whoa.
all like
yeah.
it's all like new wave. It's actually really, I like it.
Yeah, that sounds like something
They would do.
that. Yes, it sounds like something that I would have liked. Again, talking about perceptions until I heard who was in the band, and then I just would have immediately and unfortunately dismissed it.
Who do you not like in that? Is it Davey?
No, though. I think they're all. I mean, I'm not a No Doubt fan. I was just a little bit too old. I was already working at a record store when Tragic King came out, and I was just too snobby for that.
You're like, what did you think? Were you like, this is like trying too hard, or
It just wasn't my thing.
yeah,
I was so, I was just such a snob.
yeah.
I mean,
Well, you said your top three were Blur, POD. Is that what you said, POD?
No.
Just
Yeah.
kidding.
Totally. POD. There were jars of clay in there someplace. Yeah.
Oh
Give
my
me all
God.
the-
Can
give me
we
all the
play
fifth waves.
Southtown? Let's play Southtown as our exit of this podcast.
Yeah, just name any fifth wave grunge Christian rock band. That's my favorite band.
Oh, yeah. It's niche.
No,
Very
when
niche,
when you're like 20, 21 years old and you work in a record store, you think that you know absolutely everything, and you think that I mean, it's what's that movie?
It's Empire Records.
High Fidelity.
High Fidelity. It was
Yeah.
Jack Black's character, right? Like,
Yeah.
do you even know your daughter? I mean, it was literally things that we would say. So when I remember when Tragic Kingdom came out, like that, and Dookie too. Same
yeah.
thing.
Oh,
When these
yeah.
records came out, I mean, we'd be running cashier and just like, rolling our eyes so hard at these kids who are coming in and buying this stuff. But now, and now it's like, being as old as I am, you hear those songs and you're like, oh, you know what? This is fun.
Yeah.
This is
I
fine.
think I revolted against because I was getting into punk more, and I don't know when Dookie came out. It was like Dookie and Smash from Offspring came out at the same time, and
Mhm.
it was like I like punk, but I don't know that I like this. Like I
Mm.
didn't mind it, but it wasn't like that wasn't what ended up being like my intro to punk because it was good, but it just didn't like quite do it for me.
Yeah.
And then I heard like Pennywise and Rancid, and then it was that.
You know what's funny? I thought about you the other day, Jake. I have an acquaintance who teaches at a university down here in the music department. And I used to go in pre-pandemic a lot and speak at his class, just do Q&As with these kids, you know. And I recently got asked to do one of these at a high school up about, I don't know, 45 minutes north of Los Angeles. So it's like super, super, super suburbs.
Boy.
And just had no idea what to expect. Because you go into a college class and you kind of know what, you know, went to this high school class and I was just like doing an icebreaker, like name me some bands that, what your favorite bands are right now, just tell me. And one of the very first kids shot up his hand and was like, Pennywise. Like what? Pennywise? I think I actually asked him, like, are you a 45-year-old man? Like, how did you? And then another kid shot up his hand and said The Descendants. I'm like, and I literally thought, I'm like, man, Jake would love this. This is great.
That
And
is
then,
so crazy.
yeah. And then the next girl raised her hand and said Coal Chamber. I'm like, what is happening here?
What is
This
wrong with you guys?
makes no sense at all. Yeah. But then oddly, you ask them like what shows they've seen,
Mhm.
and they were all like, I saw Harry Styles.
Oh yeah.
I saw, you know, I saw, you know, pick whatever, you know,
Yeah.
I saw Mitski,
Yeah.
I saw
Yeah.
whoever else.
You think it's because of the area and them having like maybe parents that were around that were
So I think it's interesting. I actually did a really kind of like a deep, I'm gonna sit and think about this for a while afterwards, trying to figure it out. Then I started asking them what venues they were seeing, like, okay, what venues do you know of? And almost all of them, because of where they are, mentioned a venue in Ventura, which, you know, it's small beach town about 45 minutes north of LA. So I realized that like their parents won't let them go to LA for shows.
Oh.
Their parents will let them go to Ventura for shows. So what calendars are they looking at? We're looking at the venues in Ventura. Whether they're seeing Pennywise or seeing The Descendants, I don't actually know. But that's like their sphere of influence is who's coming to Ventura to play. It's not necessarily who's coming to, you know, Pickett, the Showbox in Seattle. They're not looking at the Showbox listings. They're not looking at, you know, Brooklyn Steel in New York. They're looking at Ventura Music Hall. And for better or for worse, the dudes who go to shows in Ventura are 45, 50, 55. So they're still seeing Pennywise and they're still seeing The Descendant.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
that's
super
crazy.
Yeah, super, super weird, super strange.
Even here, like when I talk to my friends that grew up here in Warwick, it's like they don't talk as much about going to the city. They talk about going to Poughkeepsie, and Poughkeepsie had like that small theater where all the punk bands went. So they go see H2O and Bouncing Souls in Poughkeepsie, not going to like downtown New York to go see like bigger shows. It was just like it was safe to go to Poughkeepsie, not to go to Manhattan or something like that.
Yeah, isn't that funny? One of the suburban parent fallacies, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's safe to go to a show in the suburbs, but it's more dangerous to go to a show in the city.
Yeah.
Yep, it's really good.
When you said about the Bouncing Souls, we did see the Bouncing Souls, like I want to say like almost 10 years ago now. And we went, and I was the same, like when you were saying like, what is this going to be like? I was like, it's either going to be like extremely humbling, and we're going to go in and just be like, hello, all of you that are my age, and we need to be in bed by 9:30 or we'll be wrecked tomorrow. Or it's going to just be people living it up again, like living their best life, even though like we've got more gray hair or whatever.
Yeah.
And the middle of this, I mean, people literally were crowd surfing at like 50 years old, barely holding each other up, just like, yeah. And I remember just being like, I don't know how I feel about this, but It's
The last
not, yeah, it was not what I expected for sure.
we went to the city and saw Bouncing Souls with Rancid, and it was like it was a big show, but it was like a punk show, and it felt like a
Yeah.
more younger crowd. But then me and Chelsea went. Have you ever heard of Crossroads in Garwood, New Jersey? It's like an hour from here. It's just a small bar, but it's like the town where the guys from Bouncing Souls live. And so they played there, and it was like all their friends from high school and their kids were there, and it was like not a wild show. It was like
Calm.
it was like them just showing up to play a show. You know, like we pulled up
Yeah.
at the same time they did in the parking lot and just said hi as we all
Wow.
walked in.
Hmm.
And it felt like we're all older now.
Yeah.
Like this isn't,
This
you
is
know.
not what we thought it was going to be. I think
Yeah.
I would almost prefer that one though than the one.
It was.
that
It was the
we
only
had.
way I could get Chelsea to go to a punk show again. Was like it's the Bouncing Souls, but it's in
They're
a
going to be chill,
small
babe.
venue, and it's gonna be
They're
chill.
going to be cool.
Yeah,
And there's a safe
it's-
corner where you can stand in, where you don't
And
have
there's
to look at or talk to anybody
No.
at all.
exactly.
No, I don't want to have like a bro moment with someone that's like thinks that
Dude.
no, I can't do it. It's embarrassing.
Yeah,
And it's so
Wow.
funny, Ryan, like you mentioning that about the record store, like working in a record store and how the vibe was back then, like with that genre of person. Because, you know, it is like, I feel like I could even like deep dive the idea of like now that we have music and you can buy everything on your phone. Like back then, you could get like a magazine subscription. You could get like that trick where they like tricked you into buying, like you're going to get 12 CDs
Mhm.
for a
Yep.
penny, that
Yep.
whole thing. And so all of that, I feel like was like an era of people, like a certain genre of person. And it was the same people that would like go into, now we're selling CDs. And so that would be like your cool thing to do would be like go into like ours was like you're going into like a record store or and they had CDs also. So my sister and I would go into Cheap Thrills, which was
Mhm.
like the
Yep.
used CD place, you know? But that was like our Friday night where we thought we were like really cool, was going into Cheap Thrills on Friday night and finding like the 16 Stone Out, you know, CD for like $5.
Yep.
And you're spending all your money on this CD. And the guy in that place was cool. Like I was like, that guy's got the cool number. He knows what cool is, you know, like he's wearing like these
Yep.
old ratty like NASCAR t-shirts. And I'm like, this guy knows what's up,
Yeah.
you know?
As opposed to the store that my wife and I worked at. I'm trying to
What?
say it
What record store was that?
was called Rasputin's.
Rasputin, and then San Francisco,
There was one in San Francisco. The original one was in Berkeley,
Berkeley.
just below the UC Berkeley campus. And we worked at one that was a bit more out in the suburbs. So when we worked there, there were like 3 stores.
Mhm.
Towards the store still exists, but at its peak, I think it had like 18 or 19 stores. We were out at that point. We were gone, but like all over the Bay Area. And I think
Did
it's less
you-
now.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
you were
Things.
very Prague. You were very, and for people that don't know, it's not the place. Prague is not the
No.
place. Prague is progressive.
No, it's not. There's not a specific rock scene in Prague, the city of Prague.
Did you meet your wife at the place that you worked, or did you know her?
The record store, yeah.
Oh my gosh, this is like screaming Empire Records right
No,
now.
and
envision
you know
her-
what's funny? You know what's funny? I've never seen that movie.
Really?
Oh my
Literally
gosh.
never. I've never seen that
Wow.
movie because when that came out, I was like, I just didn't watch movies or TV.
Well, you were still in your
Mhm.
snob stage, probably.
Yeah. Oh,
You're like,
but
what-
I mean, some people might tell you that I'm still in that stage, depending on. We got some friends
Yeah.
here who will definitely attest to that, but
Yeah.
that's all right.
I think I've
Yeah.
been called snobby once or twice. Do you think I'm
Yep.
still snobby? I've gotten
Yeah,
better.
yeah, you are.
Yeah, I
Say
think
it.
you
Okay.
are.
Say
You
it. Yeah.
definitely are.
I'm a little snobby with music.
I'm actually going to put a questionnaire on the Instagram story. Please weigh in. And
It'll-
people that know you
it'll be
know. That's a
predominantly
hard
snobby.
yes. There
It's
won't
gonna
be
be.
no
It's. I doubt there will be any no's on that.
right. No, there won't
Not
be any
just-
no. That's for sure.
Not just that the yeses will win, but it'll be like
Just
It
It'll be-
will be
it'll be-
a land dive of
it'll be abundantly clear where your friends stand on this issue. There's not going to be any misconceptions here.
I am
No.
broadening though.
Broadening. He's
broadening
broadening.
my horizons.
That's true.
I have been I've been listening to a lot of Zach Bryan. He's really
Okay.
You and everyone else in the world.
I know it's true.
Besides me.
Yeah.
Besides
I
Ryan.
didn't think I was gonna do it, and then I'm like,
No, I don't know if I've ever heard of Zach Bryan's song, which is
I'll
terrible.
send you one.
Yeah.
Do you know who I heard that I liked her voice a lot? Suki Waterhouse. Have you heard of her?
Yeah, sure.
Have I heard of Suki Waterhouse? That question alone is just killing me.
I don't.
Have you heard of Suki Waterhouse?
I'm not on TikTok. I don't know these things, but her voice is
Oh my
really
gosh.
good. I just heard her for the first time. She's
She's
good.
pregnant with Robert Pattinson's child.
Really?
I don't know who that is.
Yes, which really upsets me. Okay, this proves that Ryan is a true A-lister snob for sure, which I can appreciate. Robert Pattinson is the guy from Twilight,
Oh yeah.
right? Okay. So
I-
first of all,
oddly, I've never seen those. Are those movies? Are those
Strangely
books?
enough-
I don't
But
know.
you're aware. But you're
I've
aware
never
of.
seen them
the
either. That's
Blockbuster.
disgusting. I hate them.
But
But
you're aware there was a Blockbuster movie, and the main.
I might have heard of.
I'll be honest,
Yes.
I hate that. Yeah, I'm not no shade to Robert Pattinson, but I love Suki Waterhouse, and I was actually devastated that they were even dating. I thought that was so
Yeah.
embarrassing.
Why do
Suki
you-
Waterhouse.
like-
Suki Waterhouse played at the festival that I was at. She played at Corona Capital.
Oh, she did.
Oh
Yep.
my gosh, I would love to see her. Her voice is just magical, really, I feel like.
Yeah.
I did not.
You didn't like it?
I didn't see it.
You didn't
Okay.
see it.
So when you know you're going to Corona,
Oh my gosh.
so like when I'll see like a lineup, I'll look at the times and then I map out how I would do it.
Yeah.
Do you kind of just beforehand figure out when you actually, because like if I see a lineup and I'm like, oh, I'll get there, I would get there like 5, like I would skip all these bands and then I would just do this basically.
Yeah.
You map it out like Coachella, you'll map out exactly who you actually want to see and then.
Yeah. Yeah. You start with the best of intentions. You map out who you want to see. At least I should say that I do. And it's always like, oh, I'd love to see this person at 2:00. Oh, this person at 4. Oh, this person at 4:45. Well, let's run across the field to that thing. And the first day, like, and this held true this past weekend too. First day you do your best. You're like, man, I'm here, getting here early, 2:30, seeing this artist.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, you're so exhausted that when you're mapping out the next day, you're like, yeah, we're getting here at 7:00. Like, I'm not seeing anything. I think honestly on Sunday, the Cure started at 10:45, Noel started at 8:45, something like that. I think we walked in literally right before Noel started. I mean, yeah. And I think that if you're 19,
Mhm.
Can do it.
it's easy to be like getting to bed at 3 a.m, getting up
Oh, yeah.
by like 9, taking the bus to the festival, doing whatever. Man,
But I
No.
feel like festivals used to be more like a day, and then they all turned into 2 or 3 days too. So it
Yeah.
used to be like a big day of bands, but now they've spread it out so much. It's like I actually have some questions about like your side of things. It seems like there's bigger bands at these festivals, and then it almost seems like the same bands play it's like a tour almost of festivals, especially like through Europe and stuff.
Mhm.
Is it like would bands rather play big festivals like that instead of just touring on their own in smaller venues?
It depends on the band, to be honest. I think a lot of them, festivals are sort of like, I don't want to say they're easy money because they're not, but they generally pay fairly well. And for a band, there's no pressure at a festival, right? There's a pressure to
Mhm.
perform well, of course. But you think about, you use the Showbox again, just because it's a familiar venue, right?
Yeah.
If you're playing the Showbox, you got to sell 1,130 tickets, right?
Yeah.
And that's what your goal is. When you show up at a festival, you're like, I don't know. I mean, how many people are going to be there?
Yeah.
5,000, 25,000? I don't know. It's not on us. No one's going to say like that festival didn't do very well because of
Oh yeah.
your band.
One thing. Mhm.
Yeah, they're going to say that festival didn't do well because of all these
All of it.
reasons. So I think for a lot of bands, it's easier to do festivals because it's just safer.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's a lot of people that I'll talk to, people I work with, who, you know, there's no connection. You know what I mean? Because you'll be standing on a stage and there will literally be 25,000 people, 40,000 people at the stage. And you look in the first 20 rows of people, they might be waiting for the band after.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I remember one time, a long time ago, like 10, 11 years ago, having a band play at Lollapalooza, and they were playing two bands before like a reunited Black Sabbath. Don't ask me how that happened, but somehow they were. And the first probably 15 or 20 rows of people were just dudes with long hair who were staring at the synth pop band, just like, who are you? Get off the stage.
Oh my gosh.
I don't care. So a lot of people do prefer doing their own shows because then it's about them, and you know those people are there for you, and it's, you know.
One of the guys in the Ataris lives in Warwick, and Jeremy was just ran into him at the store, the grocery store, and he had just gotten back from When We Were Young Fest in Las Vegas, and he said it was just like chaotic. It was like you all show up, it's all these bands from like 25 years ago, and they brought all their gear, and the guys were like, no, you don't need any of your gear, just bring your guitars out, set your drums up on this thing, and it's just like a revolving platform for drummers, and then you just show up and plug in. It's like very systematic just to get that many bands through. But he said it was just kind of like chaotic. Like it's not like you're playing to your people. It's just, you're just going up playing and getting off stage.
Yep. And a lot of those things too, you know, We Are Young is a good example. 40 million bands playing. You only have so many dressing rooms. So you'll show up to a festival and be like, hey, here's your dressing room. You have this dressing room from 1:30 p.m. until 4:30 p.m. and then you're out. And you're like, okay, well, where should we go at that point? And the people that are like, I don't care. Go anywhere you want. You just can't stay in your dressing room. You know what I mean? So that's always like a jarring thing too. Not every festival does that, but a lot of them do.
Okay, so along the lines of your own, here's a question I have. As far as, since coming out of COVID, it seems like it's changed, but like tickets are so much higher now and harder to get. Is it kind of like a response from the artist to make money because they're not making money on album sales? Like they're making their money on tours and merch, or is it Ticketmaster setting the prices? But like Blink was $200, or like Zach Bryan is like insane, or Taylor you can't even get. Like, are these artists just capitalizing on the market, or is it something else that's making I don't think I've ever paid more than like $80 for a ticket, and now tickets are like so much more expensive.
It's a whole bunch of things for a lot of artists. Remember, I mean, shows didn't happen for a year and a half or 2 years. So like a lot of us, they just kind of dug financial holes, and now they got to get out of them, right? So they need more money. But also, I mean, what's happened to the price of gas in the past 5 years? So it's bad enough for the three of us as we're driving around in our like little cars, right? Now imagine if you're on a major tour and you have 4 tour buses and 3 trucks going from city to city. I mean, that's a lot of money in gas. So if, you know, I think that average price of a gallon in LA, let's say right now, is like $5.50. If you're filling up 4 buses and 3 trucks, I mean, you're spending thousands of dollars on gas every single day.
Yeah.
And it's not just gas, it's the actually getting the bus. One of the amazing things coming out of the pandemic, when everyone wanted to tour again, was the realization that there wasn't enough of a infrastructure of tour buses.
Wow.
So tour bus companies were like, I got 100 buses, I got 200 people who want it. How much you want to pay? And it was just, I mean, it was crazy. Like they became super, super expensive. So it's all these things. And then, you know, the stagehands at the venue, you know, if you're talking about major shows, you're talking about Zach Bryan. Zach Bryan's playing at arenas that are probably union.
Oh yeah.
How much are those guys making now? how many stagehands do you think he needs? You know, they got to have probably a lot of money, man. That's a lot. It costs a lot of money to roll into MSG just to turn the lights on, even more than it did 10 years ago. So those high prices, it's easy to look at artists and say like, you're so greedy. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of the artists that I work with and that I talk to are actually making less money now than they used to make. It's just that unstoppable inflation, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I think of it like they're doing anything. I don't think of it as like a cash grab. It's just kind of understanding that like what you said, like what's involved to just tour,
Yeah.
even if you don't have like some crazy production, which I do feel like it seems like I was talking to Chelsea's sister, Tia, she was saying how like it feels like artists are choosing big productions over smaller venues.
Well, that's a whole other thing too, because you know, everyone, you only have so many dollars to spend on entertainment, right? You don't have unlimited money to spend on things. So you're not just going to a show to hear music.
Mm-hmm.
And you can do that at home. You can flip on Spotify. You can put the record on your turntable. You can hear the record. We don't even call them concerts anymore. I just unconsciously called it a show, right? I mean, you got to bring it. I mean, you go to a festival and just see 4 people on stage, like strumming their guitars and yodeling, like you're just walking right by. You're walking to the next stage. It has pyrotechnics and dancers and things suspended from the rafters. It's you have to spend the money to make people care.
Yeah, I think I'd still rather see a smaller venue.
Yeah,
less frills and more like, I mean, I'll go on YouTube a lot and I'll watch live shows, and seeing Turnstile play to like 80,000 people doesn't do it for me, because it doesn't feel like they're that into it either. I mean, they're still sound good, but it's like, I don't want to see a band like that in a big venue, I think. And then like seeing some of these newer bands that I've gotten into still in like small shows, it's like I want to see them before they, not that they all turn into Turnstile, but like you want to see them in small venues when you can.
No, it's just more. I mean, I feel the same way. You know, it's just more fun. I been like Turnstile is interesting though, because they've been around for so long, playing in small venues for so long.
Yeah.
At this point, it's like, man, if you haven't seen us in the 500 capacity room, I don't know what to tell anymore. Like we're going to go to this festival. See you later. You know, you've had your chance.
Yeah. Melissa saw him open for Blink on that tour.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, they were amazing. Oh, they were awesome. I loved it. I loved seeing Blink too, obviously, but I definitely was like, I want to mainly listen to Turnstile now for a while. Like I loved it. Yeah. So it's been on like constant in the shuffle lately. They're so good.
Yeah, that's
they were amazing live. Yeah, I mean, and it was funny because like I didn't imagine him being so small. Like he's kind of like more of a petite guy, but the sound was like crazy. Like I just was not picturing that for some reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love the build. Like all of their songs, I feel like have a really great build, and it gets you pumped. So we've been listening to it a lot.
That's good.
Oh, along those lines, when I texted you that I liked the new Blink song, you mostly just went laughing, Ryan.
Yeah.
Oh, me?
Oh, Ryan.
Yeah.
We probably both laughed at you.
You didn't like it at all? Do you not like Blink at all?
I thought maybe you were like having an emotional moment or something. You were like in bed with like candles going.
I mean, it was a sweet song. I liked it. Do you not?
I'm not a Blink fan.
Oh,
again, and again, it just goes back again.
He's a snob. He told you he's a snob.
It just goes back to where I was when those first records came out. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I just couldn't. I mean, when I don't remember when the first Blink record came out.
Cheshire Cat probably came out in like 95.
Yeah, I remember seeing that record when
it was like 93.
Probably. I remember seeing the record with the cat. The cover was just a cat, right? Yeah. I remember seeing that cover when I worked at the record store and thinking it was a great cover, but I'd never heard the band. Which actually I actually heard and found a lot of great bands just doing that, just looking at record covers. But yeah, when they started blowing up again, 95, 97, I was just so deep into my pit of
He was in
snobbery.
the Prague pit. He was in the Prague pit at the time.
No, I was actually out. I was actually I was out of my prog pit. I think at that point I was probably more into my Britpop pit,
Okay.
which, judging by my sweater, is a pit I've never actually gotten out of.
You're still in the pit.
Yeah.
You're in the pulp pit now.
I'm in a
Pulpit. That's a good
whoa,
one.
whoa. Hold on a second.
Hold on.
Yeah. I'm in the pulpit.
Oh, here's a pulp question
You know,
for
yeah.
you. I saw on Stereo Gum's Instagram that Pulp did a new song.
Mhm.
Was it good? Did you like it? I heard it on Instagram, but it was like,
Yeah, it was great. I mean, it's fine. You know, it's one of those things, right? Pick a band who's put out a number of records that you have like real, like just visceral reactions and like connections to.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like something that just means so much to you.
yeah.
And then have them play a new song. Like, yes, I know that voice. I love that voice. Yes, I love these people. I love what they're making, but I don't have the same reaction to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just one of those. It's just one of those things. You know
It's
what I
like
mean?
when Rancid puts out a new album, I'm like kind of excited.
Exactly.
And then I listen to it and I'm like, yeah, it's good. And then
Yeah.
I have no feeling towards it.
And then you go back and play one of the old records.
And then you go listen to Let's Go or something like that.
Yep. That's exactly what it was. But it was really good. You know, it's great. Would I buy it?
Do you feel like there's certain albums, like you were saying, you recognize like an album cover, like you didn't really listen to it, but you recognize it by the cover? That's another thing that I feel like I miss about like music back before it was like on your phone and you're buying an album. You can buy like a whole album on your phone now and you're not going to really get into like the art of it all. And I feel like back then it was like one of the most exciting things about getting an album or even a CD was you're opening it and you could read all the lyrics and you could flip through it. I even remember getting like that Third Eye Blind CD and like being a very young girl and reading the lyrics and just being like, whoa, like this is so deep, whatever. Like, and later on looking back and being like, this was not what I thought, but okay.
Yeah.
Just the sentimentalness of it for some reason, where you hear it first, like what age you were, whatever.
Nope. And that's why people still love vinyl so much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it definitely has that appeal still.
That was part of it, like putting on a record and looking at the cover and sitting down and then being engaged to have to flip it over. Like you're like way more like in tune with it than just throwing it on. It's so secondhand to just throw on Spotify and listen.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people who are going back into CDs too. And there's a lot of we live around the corner from an extremely hip record store. I mean, it's fantastic. And they recently created a CD section and like they basically sell everything for between like $2 to $5. And it's not even sorted. It's just like here's a bunch of CDs.
Through it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few hundred CDs in there, and that's awesome. I swear, like every third day, they'll put something on their stories where it's like just added 200 more CDs. And it's like, well, you clearly sold.
What's their handle? What's their Instagram?
The store is called Record Safari. Okay. I don't actually know, but I could dig it up. I'm sure
that would be really cool.
Record Safari _ LA.
Okay.
Well,
the artwork too, like when I was looking down through like some of the roster on your website, and I think it was the girl, I think it's a girl, Ila Bamba or whatever. It was the Y. During, like on Spotify, I don't know how this started, but when you're listening to someone's music, they have like one little blurb of a video that just repeats over and over and over. And I always look at that because I want to know what it is.
Interesting.
And hers was so rad. It's like basically like crayon or drawing, changing constantly like over the original image of her. And it was so cool. I actually took a couple of screenshots of it because I love it. It basically went from like this, right? So it's like her, like, but that's like drawing,
Oh, I heard
and
that
then it would
song
cover
today.
the next section,
Oh yeah, yeah. That's
and it
Yeah.
would
cool.
change constantly. It's so sick. I was like, that looks awesome. That's
That's
such
the one
cool
with
graphic.
her and Devendra Banhart or whatever, right?
Yeah,
Banhart.
yeah, I really liked her stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, she's great. Really, really, really good.
What was your first concert?
Yeah, so first concert that like you would recognize that like truly meant something. This won't surprise Jake in the slightest bit. My sister and brother-in-law brought me to see Rush, and I think I was in 7th grade.
And that changed your life.
And that's not an exaggeration. That quite literally changed my life. But yeah, so that was like the first one. But then I got like super, super, super deep into going to shows like almost immediately, like age, 15, 16,
Yeah.
17. Just it was just nonstop. I transitioned from going to like 60 baseball games a year by myself to just going to shows constantly.
Yeah.
Constantly. That's all I did. Yeah, but Rush was the first one that really like meant, where something clicked. And I was like, I love this
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah.
So much.
I definitely feel like The Cure for me was one of those type of like moments when you're just like, this is just like something I'm gonna try. Like I think I even got like the record or like the CD at some point and like was like, I don't really know what this is. It seems funky. And then like you're listening to it and you're just like every single second of every single song is like resonating so hard that you're like, okay, this is me. Like I'm now seeing who I am like as someone that's interested in music in a way like that somehow this album is just having it on all the levels. You're like this, I'm resonating with all of this.
And which record was
I
that?
definitely feel like that. Huh?
Which one was that? Which record?
Oh
if
God,
you remember.
Brian, well, now you're gonna embarrass me. Now you've embarrassed me. Wild Mood Swings.
Oh wow. Yeah, okay.
That
Yeah,
one.
yeah, oh yeah. Wow.
That's
okay.
why I was thinking it was blue because of the hat.
Yeah, you'll have to explain that record to me sometime. That was one that I didn't get at all. It's interesting to hear you say that was the one that felt like every second was like.
Well, and I mean, I honestly like it would be anything The Cure, I'm gonna listen to it, any of it. There's like one of my top 5 bands of like my whole life.
Yeah, man.
So that one, yeah, I love it. I just love everything.
You would have loved our Sunday night then. I mean, 'cause that's literally just 2.5 hours of
them.
And it's like, I seriously like sounded so good.
Really?
So
I'm very, very, very jealous.
I saw The Cure twice this year.
What?
Once here because they did a huge tour, right?
Yeah.
So I saw them at the Hollywood Bowl, back like in May.
Wow, that's
which was very, very good.
Yeah.
Very good. And I've seen them, a number of times before that too.
Yeah.
Back, I think, as far as maybe like the Wish tour. But
I'd love to see
the festival Sunday night was incredible. So good. I mean, it was honestly one of the best times I've ever seen. And again, for being that old and for being at the end of, I mean, they've been playing nonstop for like 12 months. It's just, it was crazy.
That's super amazing that they were still that good after all that time.
And
so amazing.
And there was something special, and I won't bore you two, but there's something special about seeing a band like that in Mexico. Because people are so, it's a different, we're used to the way people digest music in the US, and it's different. I mean, you literally had 90,000 people, 80,000 people like singing along to the verses of a deep cut from like 1983.
Wow.
You know what I mean? It was just, it's a different thing entirely. It was absolutely, you would have loved it.
Is it partly like that, like someone like The Cure, or maybe like an American band more, but like you're just used to seeing them all the time, but in Mexico they're only getting them once every 10 years or once, like it's like when a band goes to like Chile or something like that. It's going to be
Yeah.
100 people and they're going to freak out, but that band's not going to Chile every year.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. And I think for a long time, I remember when I first started doing the work that I do, going to Mexico wasn't really a thing that you paid attention to. You know what I mean? If it happened, it's great, but you didn't really like seek it out. You didn't plan around going to Mexico. Whereas now it's, I mean, much, much more common, you know, but I think that's probably part of it. And I think that that's a big deal, but I think mostly it's just there's, I don't know if I could really describe it without having a better working knowledge of like Mexican culture and the history of the country and, you know, all these things. But, you know, we all know, like, I'm sure we've all debated, why is Morrissey so massive in Mexico? Why is I mean, people in Mexico lose their minds for Morrissey.
So
I mean,
Mexico's just like emo central, just sad.
well, I think a lot of it
here in Morrissey.
I mean, you could really like get you know, deep about it, but it's like, I remember asking a friend who is from Mexico, coworker, and he was actually saying that so much of it is that, like, you know, Morrissey and the Smiths, or everything is so like, oh, I've done wrong. Oh, I've done wrong. And they actually equated it to Catholic guilt.
Oh yeah.
Which I thought was super, super interesting.
Wow.
Like, it's, you know what I mean?
I never would have thought like that at all.
And it might have just been his opinion, and he could be completely off base. But he was like, there's such a massive like mea culpa, like just vibe down there. Which again, I can't say one way or another if that's right or wrong, but I thought it was just super interesting.
It's just kind of like hard to articulate why a massive group of people would, from totally different, even just your day to day, totally different jobs, totally different family life, totally different history. And then all of a sudden they're together, like sobbing over Morrissey. You're like, what's the hold that this guy has on these people emotionally? Yeah. It does seem almost like it would have to almost be like a religious sort of underlying feeling, you know, or it wouldn't make sense.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's probably why the vast majority of us like music is there's probably, it's some like cathartic feeling, you know. Yeah. I mean, in Mexico in general too, I think that, you know, Jake, you mentioned earlier, kind of like sheepishly listening to a lot of Zach Bryan, right? And it's like,
did I say sheepishly? I proudly.
Okay, you proudly said. But, you know, it's dudes playing guitars here is not like, it's not the number one attraction anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's still huge, but it's different. And I feel like down there, I mean, you look at the headliners of this festival, it was the main headliners, Arcade Fire, Blur, and The Cure. It's all dudes playing guitars.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which I think is it's just a very interesting thing. But there's just a way that the number of times I've been down there is the way that the music is processed and digested and reacted to is just it's just different, man. It's different.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Did you feel like the festival was, because I definitely wonder now, like, about going to that type of thing, because there's so many people on social media now that are like at a festival, or, you know, these are my outfits to go to Coachella. And I just like hate that whole thing where, you know, now it's like all of like the popularity of like, what's the word for it? It's just basically social media people, you know, that are like popular and they're going to go to it, but it's not because they actually are invested emotionally in the music. It's more so just a popularity contest of like, they're getting invited to shows, they're getting invited to Coachella, and it's like, that's the it thing to go do or whatever. And I feel like that can like be very annoying to people who actually want to go because they love the music and not just post about their outfits that they're going to wear that are like a stupid Western outfit that makes no sense. It's like very irritating. So do you feel like when you were there less of that there than the United States? Because I feel like the United States is awful for that now, probably.
It's completely different, 180-degree difference. I mean, Christine and I go to Coachella almost every single year. I don't think we haven't missed one in probably 12 or 13 years. And yeah, so much of it is about just it's the spectacle.
Yeah.
It's, again, goes back to the idea of the show, right?
Mhm,
It doesn't just have to be a show on stage, it can be a show off stage too. And
Mhm.
I'll say, for their part, for the people that run Coachella, I mean, they have shifted and adjusted the way they program their festival in a brilliant way,
Mhm.
because they're still hyper relevant. Even though they've been around for 20 years, they're hyper relevant.
Yeah.
So it's an absolute, masterstroke business wise.
Right.
But
right.
but that idea you mentioned, where it's less about people just taking selfies and what they wear,
Mhm.
for sure, Corona Capital, this does not have that vibe. In fact, we even heard a number of people mention that, like, man, people are wearing so many clothes here. It's so different. But even in the US, I mean, it just depends on which festival you're going to. You're
Yeah.
gonna find you'll find that, you can find that festival where it's not about what you're wearing or not, as the case may be, and
Yeah.
more about going to see the music. It's just you have to see which one it is.
Yeah.
You gotta find it. And
We're
go for
going to need a top 5 festivals if you don't want to wear a dumb Western outfit from Ryan list.
I could put
Because
that
I
together for you.
can't handle it. Yeah, I need a
We'll put it
list.
together and we'll put it on the Instagram.
Yeah, I could put that together for you pretty easily.
That would be awesome because
Oddly-
I want that so
Ryan's
bad.
list of best American festivals to go to.
Yeah, I would love that because I think a lot of people want that. I think a lot of people are bummed that everything on social media is about like who is wearing the like stupidest light up outfit they can find. It's just like irritating. Like I don't even want to go to that.
It's
you
like
know?
Coachella's like the Starbucks cup.
Oh my God.
Uh,
How did you just nail that so fast?
He's been thinking about it for a long time.
Because we live in an area where there. I stopped listening
When
to you.
you
like
were
20
listening
minutes
to the
ago.
new Blink song and texting Ryan and I, you also were thinking about the
Yeah.
similarities between festivals and Starbucks.
Yeah,
Yep,
You're
that's
nailing it.
I got it. Well,
Yeah, you got it.
our producer's telling us to wrap it up.
frantically waving,
She was
pointing at her
waving.
watch. Yeah,
She
pointing at her
was.
watch, being like,
She's
giving you the universal wrap it up sign.
yeah, because she's thinking I have to edit this, so she's literally in the background, like,
Yeah. Just go
She's
ahead
actually-
and warn people now. If you don't want to listen to Ryan for a solid 4 hours, get out.
Yeah,
Get out now.
now's the
Okay.
time to cut. You can edit it down to literally just me talking about Rush, and we'll keep it in like in a nice tidy 3 minutes.
And we always say, like, if you want to talk about music on the podcast, I mean, we're not going to say
yeah.
no. And I feel like this
No.
has been amazing. I've loved this episode. It's been very
Yeah.
interesting to hear you talk about this stuff.
As
Yeah.
Jake knows, I can talk about music. Yeah, it's an easy pile to step in.
Yeah,
And once you step in it, you can never get it off your shoe.
I know.
Yeah.
It's like, yep, it's a
And
stare forever.
Jake is ready to step into the Zach Bryan. He doesn't want to get it off of his shoe.
I got it.
He's
Both
in
my
it.
shoes are just
He
cake.
Both
doesn't-
of the shoes are
Zach
just
Bryan poo.
poo, icky poo, Zach
They
Bryan
smell like-
poo.
They smell like American heartbreak.
American Heartbreak. I'm trying to look at.
What's next? Casey Musgraves. That's going to be next for you.
She's a
doll.
I have a soft spot for.
Same for me.
Casey
Casey Musgraves has her finger on the pulse of the way to mix country, but like not too much, and also just that old Dolly Parton vibe that I love Dolly
Oh.
Parton.
Maybe she will be the next.
You need to get
like
your
I think
shoe
it's
in
like
that.
for me, I've been really into like the Turnstile, but like Angel Dust and High Vis, which I sent you the other day.
Angel
Like-
Dust, the old Faith No More record. Angel Dust, right?
Not the old Faith No More record.
Oh, okay, sorry.
But
excited.
it's like another Baltimore band that are like kind of associated with Turnstile. But
Okay.
then I have High Vis and Title Fight, like these other bands that I really like, but they're harder. So then it's like almost like I needed to counteract it with Sookie Water.
Something else.
Yeah,
Secret
no,
Warehouse
Yeah, why
and
not?
Zach Bryan.
no,
and-
that's always how it is. You can't just like bludgeon your brain with
yeah.
the same frequency over and over again. You need to.
You cannot listen to the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones every Thursday night. It's not a good.
Every
Man.
other.
I went to go see a festival in the Bay Area a million years ago. It was like a radio festival or something like that. I can't
Yeah.
remember now. But my favorite bands at the time were all playing. One of which was that band Elastica. If you guys
Mhm.
remember
Oh, yeah.
Elastica,
Mhm.
Matt, the world's biggest Elastica fan. I mean, I was obsessed with Elastica.
Uh-huh.
And this one of our friends went with me. She's a little bit younger, and she was wearing a plaid skirt. Okay. And we were so excited. We paid a lot of money for really good seats. And all these people kept like making Mighty Mighty Boss Tones references to her. Because we didn't realize that they were on the festival and she was wearing a plaid skirt. So everyone assumed that she was like a Mighty Mighty Boss Tones fan. And she was like, I hate that band so much. I can't believe I wore this skirt. It was so funny.
That is hilarious.
That's where the festival lineup of different bands hurt you, because
100%.
if it was just an Elastica
Oh.
show, she would have fit in perfectly. But because Boston's were on, it's like, oh, you're a big
the
Boston.
Mighty Mighty Boss Tones.
Yep.
Well,
So to wrap this up,
exclusive.
Yeah, Chelsea has actually left the house.
she's so irritated. No,
She's actually went outside to pull the earth net.
it's snowing and she's just outside looking through the window at me like,
Yeah.
Tink, 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 tink.
oh man. Okay, but
That's
to
too
wrap
funny.
it up,
Mm.
To wrap it up,
let's add some songs to the playlist. Do you want to start, Ryan? Do you have anything good for us?
I thought you wanted to wrap it up. If you start
He
going
has
down,
nothing.
if you go on
Okay.
this path, where
Max
you'll literally
three.
be
it's
here.
never.
Max 3 songs. Give us 3. Give us one. Give us a song to throw on the
Just
playlist.
like, just you mean, give me like a point of departure. I don't know where to begin.
Okay, 3 songs from the festival that you liked.
3 songs from the festival
Yeah.
that I liked. Babies by Pulp.
Babies by Pulp,
Mm-hmm. Trim Trab by Blur,
Trim Trab,
and then At Night by The Cure.
At Night by
Oh
the.
my.
All right,
Oh, this
Those
is good.
were.
added.
This is good stuff.
It also pretty much just nails my demographic. Like, you know exactly who I am based on those 3 songs.
It's like the end. That's it. Say your goodbyes.
Yeah, that's basically, you know, everything about
Are
me
we
until you have part 2, which is exclusively about Rush.
All right, we'll
And
do
then,
next time you're on. We'll do another mix
Yeah.
of Rush.
it'll
All
be
right,
your
Melissa.
least listened to playlist ever, I
Please
guarantee you.
listen to.
Melissa, what do you got? What are your songs?
Okay, so I want to do the one. Do I do 1 or 2?
You can do as many as you want.
I don't like to overwhelm our 50 viewers. I want to do some from the roster. And so one I really liked is Idaho Alien by Youth Lagoon.
Okay.
That was really, really good. Like if you like the Sufjan Stevens vibe, I love that same kind of like real, I don't want to say moody because that's kind of dumb, but like very it feels kind of dark. It probably is a little, I don't know. I really liked that song. The other song I really liked is Ciro's by House Song, or it's House Song by House. I can't tell actually what it is, but I liked that one a lot. Or that might be the Sufjan Stevens ones. I can't remember which one. I just was listening today. But I like House Song by Ciro's, I think is who it is.
Okay.
Really good though. There's a lot of bands on your roster that
Okay.
are sick. I would tell everyone to go and start a deep dive of the bands from the website because
Yeah.
there's so many that are really, really good.
Zero
TBA.
is super new. Like super new too.
Heroes
So
is.
that's a fun one to get into now. If you want to be like Jake and go to the box that's
Yeah.
tiny and see a show,
The Zeros.
that's a good one. Yeah.
I'm going to look up. I'm sure I won't be anywhere near where they're playing, but I would love to see them.
I'm sure at some point you will be. Don't worry.
All right, I'm gonna add a Zach Bryan song.
Oh, End it now, Ryan. End
No,
the
I have no qualms
There's
with
no qualms
with
with
that.
Oklahoma
Brian.
City is a song.
What is it? What is
Oklahoma
it?
City.
Oklahoma City.
And then I picked a Blur song to add to. It's the only one I
Oh.
think I have on a list.
Don't say song number 2.
No.
Okay.
The
I'm gonna
Narcissist.
scream.
Ooh, wow, going for a new song. Look at that.
Is it new?
Yeah.
Oh, it just came through a list and then I heard
Yeah.
it, I liked it. So I added it to
Yeah.
my
Great
rotation.
song.
Okay, cool.
Well done.
Oh my.
So good to see you.
Good to
Okay,
see you too.
Ciros even has a really cool little picture. Oh, this band. I'm into this band, so
Oh,
I
man.
love it.
Next
Where
week, she's gonna have 3-0 songs.
are you both in New York?
She's in
No, I'm in West Virginia. No, I know.
No, Ceros are I don't believe they're coming to West Virginia.
No. Absolutely not.
uh,
But I
also
would go somewhere to see them.
Melissa, no one's coming to West
Yeah,
Virginia.
no one's
Yeah.
coming here, Ryan, okay? I don't have like my
Actually-
backyard.
Actually, there was there was a city that actually had a multi-Gilman type club in West Virginia someplace. I remember the club was
What was
called
it?
123 Pleasant Street, but I forget what city it was.
123 Pleasant Street? It wasn't like Davis or Thomas or 123
Oh.
Pleasant. The only Pleasant Street I know is where
Oh,
my parents-
Morgantown.
Morgantown?
Morgantown.
Okay, Morgantown is about an hour away.
Well, if this were 2003, I bet Zeros would have
Boom.
played at 123 Pleasant Street.
Boom. Oh, if only.
And 20 years too late.
It's funny
Dang.
because my parents are from LA. I was born in LA, but they moved to
Oh,
West
wow.
Virginia when I was little. Yeah. So my one
Hmm.
half sister still lives there.
Hmm.
And we went to an art gallery when I visited her last. And Darren, my husband, we go into this art gallery and my sister's there and she's chatting and she's like making her way around. And she goes over and my husband rushes over to me and he's like, "That's the lead singer of Pennywise right there. Did you know that?"
It all comes
I was
full
like-
circle.
It all
Yeah,
does.
and I was like, "No, I have no idea. I did not know that was the lead singer of Pennywise." And he's like, absolutely beside himself, a mess. Just like, I can't.
Which
I
is why
can't-
me and Darren get along so well.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And my sister was like, "Oh yeah, we used to ride skateboards together." Like introduces them, and he's just like, "Oh God!" And I'm like, "I don't know what's going on right
Yeah.
now, but you are clearly unwell."
That sounds about right. That sounds like a very LA experience.
Yes.
It's like,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
In
Yeah, and
the
she's just like,
gallery or
whatever.
at the taco truck, and you see like the singer from Fill in the Blank band.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
pretty ubiquitous. That's awesome.
Oh my gosh. It was actually hilarious. I was like, this is great. You're right. It's
Love
very that seemed like this tracks.
Mhm. Yep.
Well, on that
That's so
note,
good.
Chelsea's dying.
Okay,
Chelsea's
so anyway,
literally just laying on the ground.
Ryan was one of our
You're not that far off. You're not that far off.
she actually has a gun ready.
She's like,
Yeah.
she's literally standing next to the couch. She's like this, and then she's like putting her hands down on the couch, just like dying inside right now. It's so funny to watch, actually.
Oh, I love it so much. That's great.
Okay, well, we need a lot of links if you don't mind sending them,
We're gonna
Ryan,
do
so
a
that we
link
can-
heavy.
Well, we
what do
need
you,
the list. We need the 5 festival
Send me,
list.
Oh.
send me the 5 festival list.
That's
and
not a
we're-
joke, actually. I
Yeah.
do like that.
And then we're gonna
Yeah.
link TBA Agency, your company. That
Heroes.
oh,
Rolling
Re- Re-
Stone called it
Record
the
Safari.
holistic approach for clients.
I didn't know that.
Oh.
I actually had no idea that quote existed, but
And
I'm not-
Variety
I'm-
Magazine called it. I had a line.
no.
Okay,
That's all right.
Chelsea,
You're fine,
Chelsea,
Vinny.
we're wrapping it up. Chelsea, no, we need the record store that you said was really
send it to you.
cool.
Oh, Safari. Yeah.
Record Safari.
sent it.
It's great.
Right,
Records
oh,
of-
okay.
Record Safari _LA.
Cool.
It's actually great. It's like sincerely a
Okay,
fantastic.
shout out to Record Safari.
Yes.
And say hi to Christine and Gray. We missed
I
them.
will.
as well.
Grayson,
Yes, and I
Grayson,
don't know them, but I also love
will
them
at
and
some
care
point.
about them very much.
you'll actually like this. Gray's in Fresno. He chose to go to Fresno instead of Mexico City.
Oh man.
which is a super, super bold move.
Yeah.
From any 18-year-old.
Such a defiant.
Do you want to go to Mexico City and see The
Wow.
Cure, or do you want to go
No,
to
I'm going to
Fresno?
Fresno.
Yeah.
This guy, he's got it going. I mean, he's got a plan. That's for
Fresno's
sure.
like the Spokane of California. I feel like.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Oh.
I've always held Spokane in higher regard, but yeah,
Oh,
that sounds about right.
People in Washington don't.
No, okay.
This was a
Shopping
fun.
and retail.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
Thanks
thank you, Ryan. We
Thanks
love
for
chatting
asking.
with
Yeah.
you.
This is
Oh
fun.
yeah, thanks for coming on.
It was
This is
awesome.
great. This is
And we'll
great.
do it. We'll do it again.
Yeah.
Give it some time. Don't bore Chelsea anymore. Let her recover first, and
Okay.
when she feels like she's fully,
When she's recovered, we'll do it again.
yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right.
Let her decide when.
The one
And
thing
of course, we have to do our extremely normal rude send off. I plan on throwing myself down the stairs after being on this podcast with you, Jake. It was lovely, but I will be throwing myself down the stairs that are right behind me. Hopefully, Cutie Girl can get out of the way.
I have to go. Chelsea needs to put my head in the oven for punishment.
Okay, and it was a joy having Ryan, but we can't say so much for each other as usual. you know?
Exactly.
For the best. It's for the best.
It's
It's
good
for
to
the
see
best.
you, Ryan.
Yeah, okay. See you guys later. I need to go make dinner.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.